And welcome back to We Live for Saturdays. This is the second to last episode of the season. I mean, where did it go? Joined here by Maku and Chris, as always. How are we feeling, boys? Happy New Year.
What's up, Sammy? Happy New Year, buddy.
I was going to say Happy New Year. You all have a good one?
Yeah, it was good. Enjoyed some time off of work. Didn't really need to travel, so that was always nice. I have a question for y'all. When is the cutoff date of when you need to stop saying Happy New Year? Is it end of January? What is it?
Are you going off the Curb Your Enthusiasm clip where he tells people like 3 days is too long?
No,
Seinfeld did this too.
did not.
I got it in March one time.
Those are hilarious lines from Curb and Seinfeld, but I think like around you get like I think 2 weeks is a very fair amount. If you're doing it late January, it's way too long. But if it's still like single digit January is totally fine. When you get to the 10th, the 14th, that's a little gray area.
I felt weird. I did it today, and I felt a little weird for that. But you just got to go for it. You got to commit to it, no matter what you do.
I think one full work week after people are back in the office.
That's true.
So like you have to count that pretty much entire week that it turns to the new year as a vacation week, and then you can be cordial to everybody that following week. But the next week, you're crazy.
I would love to just pull it and just, maybe like February 17th, just drop it on someone.
As a greeting of an email.
Happy New Year and Happy New Year to everyone who celebrates.
Happy April Fools and New Year. And New Year.
Well, we're going to be Dwight just, what is this?
To answer your question, though, Sammy, I did too much travel and kind of lamented the travel plans. Not because of the time spent with family, of course, but just awkwardly timed flights and long car rides back home and making it back to Boston to fly down to Florida and a lot of crazy planes, trains, and automobiles, as they say. So, but all very worth it. Great holiday season.
It's awesome.
Good, and we had quite a football bowl season, if we don't say so ourselves, including some playoff games. Let's talk about It really is. Let's talk about the 4 games that we had in the quarterfinals. I guess that is how many games are done in quarterfinals. But which one do we want to start out with? I feel like probably the best game was the Arizona State Texas game. I feel without a doubt. I think that's a top 3 playoff game since they started this in 2016, roughly. That was up there. Good on Arizona State. Go Devils.
I think that's very fair to say. I also use this game as the prime example of stop going on whatever your social media of preference is and spouting off about this team doesn't belong somewhere, because Arizona State was down 17-3 and everybody's like, why are they around? Put Alabama or Ole Miss in this spot. That's not fair. It's like they made that an absolute classic and they very well should have won the game.
Yes.
And it's like, just because your team gets down a little bit early, don't start spouting off hot takes you can't take back.
Yeah, we saw what happened with Alabama, who deserved to get in. They laid an absolute egg.
Insane.
Yeah, but my other takeaways from the game: targeting. What the heck is it? It makes no sense. It's absolutely awful. Arizona State could have definitely won. Did you guys see the clip of the priest at Arizona State? He was wrapping up his mass, and he was just like, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. And by the way, that was targeting. I was like, that's classic.
Yeah, it was definitely targeting. I don't know. Yes, it was. But I don't necessarily, I mean, that didn't necessarily decide the game per se. Like Arizona State had plenty of other chances to win. Like they could have stopped 4th and 13. That would have easily been as easy of a way to win than allow a targeting. So Texas was the better team.
Did play the worst defense. I was looking at that. I saw the guys lineup, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the X's and O's as well as most people do, but that was like, they're gonna just throw it right over the top of everybody, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. When you know they need 4th and 13, just play prevent in the on the goal line. That is all you need to do.
They were jazzed up. The whole place was buzzing. They wanted to. I have made that mistake in NCAA 25. Admittedly, try to get the ball out of their hands fast, and it just did not work out.
Right.
Yeah. That was an all-time classic, though, and shout out Arizona State for, like, they went down quick, but then everybody was immediately like, let's go Sun Devils.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee there are
Poured
people that had no idea, they couldn't name a single player, not that you're expected to know everybody, like Scattaboo and I'm blanking on the quarterback's name now, Sam Levitt,
Levitt.
he was crushing it. Yeah, most people couldn't name a single soul that went to Arizona State, and they immediately fell in love with the team, so I like that just back and forth. That was fun to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, it really was. Probably I was going to say the next best game. Let's go with the Notre Dame Georgia game. I think that was probably the next closest margin, I would say, out of all of them.
Score wise, yeah.
Yeah, score wise, I mean, it was kind of an ugly game, to be honest. Kind of slow, kind of boring, but that's how both teams like to play. Honestly, Georgia, I mean, Notre Dame's offense didn't necessarily impress. All of their offensive touchdowns were turnovers where they started on the opponent 20. They didn't really move the ball too effectively, but Georgia kept shooting themselves in the foot, and it paid dividends. So it was kind of a fitting end to kind of their up and down year, I would say.
I agree. I think we've seen them at their peak. We've seen them, when they lay an egg, and I think this was kind of, obviously you have the injury to Beck, and this was not their best game, but also Notre Dame was just the better team, plain and simple. Notre Dame really beat them up, wore them down, and I would say, the better team won. I think I texted you guys this. Notre Dame's offensive line is enormous. They really, I won't say they push Georgia around, but they're a force. And they're just, they're one of those teams. They like to slug it up, just really grind the ball. And that's going to be an interesting matchup, like you have it showing here, how the trenches go, because their trenches look pretty strong.
Yeah, 100%. I think the game came down to just those two big plays that everybody will point out. Georgia's fumble with like 30 seconds to go in the half, where they probably could have just taken a knee. I guess that's why some teams generally do that at the end of halves, but they were on like their own 20, and Gunnar Stockton fumbles, game back into Notre Dame's hands, and immediately capitalize with a touchdown, and then start the second half with a 100-yard return pretty much. So, I mean, obviously those are plays of the game, but they don't really contribute to the yardage, which is why Notre Dame only had like 200 yards of offense. So it's kind of surprising. But no, I think, like you said, that's kind of the game they like to play, and they like to get kind of gross and dirty with it and just grind it out.
Yeah, definitely. I know from a Penn State perspective, I know I was watching that game a little bit more in depth than others, just because I knew we would play the winner. But it was a good game, entertaining. And speaking of Penn State, let's go on to our win over Boise. That was a good game as well. Enjoyable. I think another game where I think this was one of the games where Tyler Warren made some big plays. He didn't necessarily need to in the SMU game, but a couple of those catches, especially the first touchdown to start it off, was definitely a good way to start. But what did you guys take away from it?
I agree. I think his second touchdown was the more crucial play of the game, because that's when they came back and they had a very good. They had literally, from what I'm trying to remember back, because again it was New Year's Eve, so we were out and about. But obviously Boise got kind of trounced in the first quarter. We looked like the most dominant team that's ever played, and then they kind of got their composure, started fighting back. Genty kind of started getting his yards, but he only got like 3 or 3.5 a carry. So kind of holding him, keeping him in check was the big thing. But they did manage a good touchdown run at the end of the first half, or I guess halfway through the first or second quarter, and then came right out of the gates in the second half and scored right away with the most wide open play I've ever seen. Total breakdown in defense. So when it was a 3-point game, I was getting very, very nervous. But yeah, like you said, Tyler Warren stepped up, had a huge catch, very contested in the end zone, and pulled it down.
Yeah. It's there were a few big plays in this one too that could have gone either way. I think there's a touchdown from Boise that got called back, and then we scored very quickly after that. That was a big switch in the game, and it's not as big of the plays as Notre Dame or Georgia, but one or two plays go a different way. We're in a lot closer of a game. So again, I don't think we talked about this with who's our guy that shows did you win by this much? It was Bud Davis or something. And we were not as it wasn't as impressive as a win as the score, and that's kind of what we're thinking. And I know we got one more game to review, but I think all the cards are gonna start falling on the table here. We got a elite program and a real big game now coming up against it's not SMU and it's not Boise. This is a deep team with lots of talent, lots of firepower that we have not run into in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I were that game, I mean, you could tell our sole focus was Genty. I think we would have let Madsen throw every single play, but they kept feeding him, which I get. But yeah, I mean, if I were a Boise fan, and honestly kind of am, I'm rooting for him throughout the entire year. I love Boise, but
and everybody who said that, oh, look at Genty, he's not having a good game. He was breaking like 3 or 4 tackles every play.
I was gonna say we only tackled him because we put 5 guys on him at once, and he was still
he's
fighting.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I love watching.
It's insane. I'm pumped for him to keep watching him play. But yeah, that was fun game.
I was thinking it was funny how we saw they were the most kind of I don't want to say out of nowhere because they're always going to be ranked and always a good team and probably the best in the Mountain West, but not many people predicted Genty being second in the Heisman. They thought he'd be good, but not that good. But I think we literally brought them up every single week of the pod here. And we were like, check out Boise. What they're doing was very fun. And then we finally had a showdown with them in the playoff. We're like, kind of scared Boise now. Kind of scared Boise. Really would prefer if Genty wasn't playing or something. But I don't know. I will say I was happier watching Nick Singleton dash to the end zone than I was at midnight of the new year because that was the cause for celebration for me.
There you go.
That was a great little nightcap. That was the best. 100%.
I was like, all right, 2025 will be a good year. We'll see how these next games go, but
right, we're only halfway there.
That's true, exactly.
2 games down, 2 to go.
And last one of the quarterfinals was the biggest snooze fest of them all.
Who saw that coming, though?
Who saw that blowout coming? What even was the final score? I mean, it was
41-21, and it wasn't remotely that close.
No.
Oregon scored twice in the second half to make it close, but disgusting behavior by them.
It was, I mean, Ohio State came out firing. I was in the kitchen. I think I was cooking at the time because it was around dinner time.
So were they.
and I just kept looking every single play. It seemed like they just broke off 60 yards. It wasn't even drives. It just was complete breakdowns. Ohio State looks pretty legit. They were more dominant in this game than over Tennessee, and that's saying something. At least in the first half. So Texas probably is a little scared.
I was going to say, I was looking at their ESPN page. Ohio State started with a 55% win probability when the game kicked off. They got to 90% with 14 minutes left in the second quarter. So, those little maps, and it's always fun when they go crazy at the end.
Yeah.
This game just totally flatlined right from the start. And I don't know what happened with the team. Everybody praised Dan Lanning all year long for being an amazing coach and having the best prep and offense and defense for his opponents and everything. And that was just, I don't know how you come out that flat. I know Ohio State's very good. I'll do credit to them, but I don't know how the number 1 undefeated team comes out and lets up a display like that.
And that leads me into my next thought. We talked about this in our group chat. Every bye lost. Sure. And is this like the MLB playoff?
Rest, yeah. Rest loses every time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I already saw that there's going to be changes next year. I think it's going to be a quick turnaround of those changes. I think I did see pretty reputable people. They said that there's still going to be automatic bids from conference champs, but I think based on how it's structured, there's always going to be buys. At least in the near future, I mean, I feel like there's always going to be buys. And in college football, it's very momentum, very emotional. And I don't necessarily think buys are as valuable like they are in the NFL. So could be kind of a trend down the line, but who knows?
On the one hand, it's funny because when the first 12-team playoff came out, I genuinely thought, I was like, okay, well, it's good that these top 4 teams get their buys because they'll always end up, one of those 4 teams will always win it. Therefore, you're not making the lower seeded teams play that many games. And now that's been completely flipped. It's like you're going to have a team play 17 games to win the whole thing.
Which is kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. I mean...
Right. I mean, like, on the one hand, yes,
it's great, too.
Crazy.
It's great for the fans. It's great for the money, I'm sure, coming in. It's great for ESPN and everybody that broadcasted. But I do think, like, not every player on that team is going to be playing a full NFL schedule in a couple years. So maybe 17 is a little extreme.
Yeah.
But still, I think they'll work it out somehow. I'm not going to complain about it. I love watching it, and these make for some very entertaining games. But I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that little bit of breakdown with Oregon just being at such a high level for so long, and then even beating Penn State in the Big Ten championship. But to take a week off and then come out the flattest any team has ever come out was very annoying to watch.
It is just...
Jeremiah Smith, greatest performance I've ever seen of a freshman. He's wildly talented. Halfway through the second quarter, people are like, just draft him this year. And I'm like, he's 18 years old.
It is pretty wild.
Wide receivers.
Yeah, it is wild. Because you kind of think of, like, they have buys throughout the season, but I guess Georgia and Oregon, they had probably like a 3-week buy, something like that. It's definitely a lot longer, so that could be an issue. So, and am I wrong in thinking that isn't there like a cap to practices or something? Didn't they cap the amount of practices like in these off seasons or something? I feel like I saw that. So maybe that could be an issue too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to look out for the player's safety at some point too. So they need to limit something, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny saying that out loud because, like, that should be the utmost importance. But when you get some classic games like we've been seeing in bowl season, it's like, more of this, please.
I was going to say, do you think the
Texas
NCAA really cares?
Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, Cam Scatterboy, I think, was like filmed on the sideline, be like, I can't take it. Somebody was reporting he was throwing up. It's like, get back in there. Keep running. He had the greatest game ever. So it's, I don't know, funny when you take a step back and look at it from a high level, but I don't know. Just point being, I think credit to Ohio State. They're clearly the favorite. They're clearly the most dangerous team.
I know. I'm nervous. What do I do with my bet now?
Yeah, you gotta remind the fans.
Yeah, well, I had Tennessee College World Series and Ohio State Natty. I mean, we're starting to get up closer to, it was like plus 6,500. And they're offering me a payout, so we'll see. I don't know if I want to take that or not. I mean, I think Texas gives it, and I don't want to steal your thunder, Sam, but I mean, I feel like Texas is probably going to give their best shot at taking them down.
Well,
I will try to beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Yes, Chris, you were correct.
I have a question, I guess, based on how the games fall. Penn State Notre Dame is Thursday. Their game is Friday. Is it possible that the odds shift in your favor even more after they figure out who goes into the national championship? So maybe you can always just wait until after
That's true.
The Orange Bowl and just see if that changes things without waiting for the Cotton Bowl.
It's shot up.
I'll be the blunt one, the rude one to say it. I think the odds drop if Penn State's the one that makes it to the championship because Ohio State just has our number.
I would agree.
Right. Yeah.
Notre Dame's a slight bit more of an unknown. So
we might need to have like a 4-hour episode if it is a Penn State Ohio State national championship.
Oh my gosh.
Watch the first 10 minutes of excitement and then they'll do exactly what they did to Oregon and
which would be perfect for me if my bet's still intact because
I was going to say you're kind of in between.
That would be an emotional hedge. That'd be the perfect one.
Yeah.
If Penn State were to make the championship against Ohio State,
get there.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you care obviously, but it's the nicest, softest landing to see your team lose in the final
Oh,
if you make a ton of
I'd
money at
be,
the end of it.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Me and Sam, on the other hand, will just be livid and crying.
I wouldn't go to work for a week. All right. Wrapping up the quarters of the CFP. I do have a game for us. I can play this one as well, so it'll be a
Welcome.
collaborative effort. Anything else looking back on college football before the rest of the episode is looking forward?
wait, what?
Anything else, like any other bowl games, any other call-outs before I hop on into the game?
Oh yes, no, sorry, I missed that. I was texting.
We did get
Apologies.
a listener question on the best game of the year, or are we at that point in the pod?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I have two very quick ones though. I want to just highlight from bowl season. Both happened on Saturday, the 28th, and yes, I'm looking at ESPN right now. Iowa State with the upset over Miami. Good for them. They shut down the far superior team, even though Cam Ward kind of conceded at halftime. And if he kept playing the second half, you never know. But that was a very fun game all the way to the end. Defensive battle, and then UConn at the Fenway Bowl finished the season 9-4. Nobody cares about UConn besides me, for sure. I mean, and the 25 other fans they have. So, but just what a season! Jim Morris got the team going the right direction.
Yeah, he called out anyone who wants to poach his players. He is not all about it.
You don't mess with UConn football.
I mean, it's hilarious. But and then also I was in Tampa when the ReliaQuest Bowl was going on, Alabama, Michigan.
I can't believe it called that, by the way.
It was about 75% more Michigan fans that I saw just walking around downtown, which hopefully was the reason for happening, because Alabama should be utterly embarrassed for that.
Absolutely. Correct. Well,
same sort of thing as
they
Oregon
should be embarrassed for a lot of things, yes.
True, yeah. But to come out that flat was gross.
All right, so
anyway, what do you got, Chris?
We have one listener question from a loyal listener, in all seriousness, Eric. And he does happen to root for Notre Dame, so that's going to be quite a square off on Thursday.
Ooh.
Great guy, but we're going to be on opposite sides.
My favorite game of the year was Northern Illinois, Notre Dame.
His question, if you had to introduce college football to someone who's never seen it before, what game from this season would you show them? I thought that's a good one.
That is a good one.
I'll let you guys go first. I'm trying to find mine.
Only because I saw a clip of it earlier today, but I think looking back, it's probably at least the top three. I would go with the Alabama-Georgia game from like week 6 or whenever that was.
That was going to be mine.
That is an all-time college football where you come in and what is it like? It's like 24-3 at halftime or something, and Carson Beck is throwing picks left and right. They make an elaborate comeback, and then Ryan Williams sort of caps off his like, "Hey, I'm here in college football" with that insane play where he literally just waltzes with these defenders and just toes everything and stays in bounds.
And the call from the crew was great too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that play was so good. Like, he was so insanely talented that it looked so smooth when anybody else would just get blown up and die.
For real.
And he just kind of like coasted into the end zone. It's like,
he's like 100 pounds.
What you're doing.
Yeah.
That's a very good one, though.
Speaking of Ryan Williams, did you see that when he committed there, we all know he's still 17, but when he committed there, he committed because Nick Saban told him that he would stay for 3 years for Ryan Williams, and then Nick Saban left a week later, and then Ryan Williams was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back and like reconsider things," and he's like, "Okay, I still want to go to Bama," but like that's crazy, just how like breaking promises change things, like college football 25 and things like that. So it's thought that was interesting.
I didn't know that. Muku, you got one?
I do. I did my research. So when you prompted this question to me offline, I was like, all right, well, if you're a total novice to the sport and all of football in general, like if you're explaining to your grandma who never turns on the TV on a Saturday, and you have to be like, all right, here's what we're going to watch. You have to watch it all and enjoy it. you want the most offense possible. You don't want like the Michigan Ohio State.
Correct.
You don't care really about the rivalry. You don't care about the defensive struggle and be like, oh, like I can't believe this team's up or this team's like holding them back. Like this team should be a lot more better, lot more points scored. You just want offensive battles, and you want a little bit of a underdog story maybe to inspire you. So I found the game I was looking for. 52-51, week 1 of the season. Texas Tech edged out Abilene Christian. This game in my like it was 17 years ago. But I had to refresh my memory. I knew it was a Texas Tech game because they always put up points. They always get in these big battles. And this is a game that you're like, okay, well, Texas Tech, clearly a bigger school. Abilene Christian, probably not at their level. And it went that exact way for the first half. And then the old Wildcats came scrapping back, put up, I think, 17. Yeah, 17 in the fourth quarter, tied the game. And then it came all the way down to going for, they got their touchdown in overtime. You'd obviously have to explain the whole crazy overtime rules to the person you're watching with, but get the ball, give up 7 points in overtime, get the touchdown right away, go for 2, fails, absolute heartbreak. But what a game, what a story. You're getting so much love for that game.
I feel like that's to explain the true love of college football to somebody. You have the Georgia, Alabama, which again was going to be my first one. Then you're like, no, it's just the love of the game. Texas Tech, Abilene Christian, chaos. And then but if I had to pick another one, I don't have a specific one in mind, but for people to understand us, there definitely was some kind of some MAC game where it was a shootout off some, fumble Rooski recoveries, just absolute sloppy, wet mess from a rain and snow. That's also what we live for as college football fans too. So I think I would need to hunt one of those down and show them that. And they're like, oh, look at the band doing this. Look at this awful play. Yeah, this is Maction. It's amazing.
That is very, very fair. That's a very good point. I think you have to have a slight understanding and appreciation for the college football scheduling to know that Maction they play whenever they want. They go on Tuesdays at noon sometimes. Yep. And be like, all right, they're so great because they're playing when they get all the eyeballs on them. And I think that's kind of the lore of the MAC as well. But no, I think those are all very fine answers. So I would give us all some credit.
Thanks for the question.
I think I'll do 2 honorable mentions, both from the same weekend. I remember this weekend because I was on vacation. But Penn State USC. That was a great game.
That was a great one. I forgot about that. Yep, for sure.
And then the same weekend, that night, was the first Ohio State and Oregon game. I think that kind of epitomizes college football, too, where it can be heartbreaking, too. You lose the game on a mistake, and I think that is kind of a definitive factor, too. So I think that was a good one.
Did you Google best games from the year and saw Josh Pate's top 3?
I did not, but I love Josh Pate.
Josh Pate had those 2 games and the Georgia-Alabama game on. So I thought that's what his top 3 would be. He's almost as cool as Joel Klatt.
Is he the new Joel Klatt? No, never.
He's from the non-allegations network.
I was going to say, Joel Klatt going to be running Fox Sports in a matter of minutes.
Joel Klatt is squeaky clean.
He's the only one left standing.
my king.
Oh, man.
All right, we have a game next year.
Next year?
No, next year.
Next year.
Oh, I apologize.
But it is next
Newman
year.
Newman died?
Okay, so this is a classic Sporkle game where we're gonna input some things. I'll share my screen here soon, but the prompt is. This is all Division I, so part of it can kind of be a basketball team that we would put in here, but let's try and think of it through a football lens. But out of 50 states, there are 37 states that have colleges without the state's name in their name. So one of them, for example, I think we'll play, but I don't want to give a hint. But
yeah, give an example though.
Okay, so Which one has the most? Let's say.
You're saying basically how, like, if
so-
you go to Pennsylvania, they have Penn States that they wouldn't count.
Correct,
You need a
but
team like Slippery Rock that would.
Correct, but let's try and think of like FBS schools first. But there might not be. But let's see.
Hit it up. I'll yell out.
So
names
like
for,
this is
for a
saying
couple minutes.
there's here, I'll share it real quick. This is saying there's 17 states that fit this description from New York, and we would just need to list one of them
That don't
I see.
have New
that
York
don't have
in the
New
name.
York in the name.
Syracuse.
Right. So
Oh,
we
is
can
that
just go down the line.
Boom.
And we just need to name one.
Yeah, we just name one because
All
it
right.
would. So
Alabama, Jacksonville State.
Oh wait, what happened? All right. So yeah, other would be like Army, Cornell.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Auburn.
Give Chris his Jacksonville State. Okay.
Arizona
only has one. That's surprising
Without
to me.
Arizona?
Flagstaff.
Without Arizona in the name.
For an FBS school?
Well, no, this is literally any school, like any D1. So that could be
Grand
basketball.
Canyon.
Grand
Canyon.
Canyon. Good job.
Sacramento State.
Pacific.
Air Force.
Stanford.
Let's go.
We should have done Stanford.
Oh.
Air Force.
Air Force, yep.
Love it.
Yale.
Miami.
Florida.
Georgia Southern. Oh wait, Georgia.
What the idiot?
I have one, but I'll see.
Well, go for it. Put it in.
Kennesaw.
Kennesaw.
Nice.
Oh, Boise.
Classic
for
one-star
Idaho
team to start
here.
with in college
Boise.
football. Yep.
Northwestern.
Notre Dame.
Northwestern. Yep. Notre Dame in this one. In Indiana. People
Iowa.
listening on
No, not
Spotify.
Creighton.
People listening on Spotify will really be struggling with this. But
Drake.
Drake. Well done.
Nailed it. Des Moines finest.
Wichita, Kansas.
There you go.
The
Kentucky,
only one
Louisville.
clutch. I know my
Yep.
Kansas.
Louisiana.
Northwestern State.
That's stunningly true.
Yep. Come on, give it to me. Boom.
Wait.
That's a. Oh wait, they.
Why are there
Oh,
two?
I don't.
Why is Louisiana down at the bottom?
Why does it say officially? I don't know what that means.
Oh, I see. So they're giving you kind of a shout out. They're like, "You got this," but it's not really one.
Interesting.
Oh, it's saying officially Northwest. Oh, okay.
So they're saying I'm
Interesting.
not right.
No.
There's not a regular Lafayette, is there? Not
Oh,
Louisiana Lafayette.
Or no, because it's Louisiana Lafayette, or
Oh,
it's
New
just
Orleans.
New Orleans.
nice.
Oh, Tulane.
Oh, Tulane.
Yeah.
All right. Navy.
Yep.
Um.
BC, Boston College.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, Michigan.
Well, they're all.
Now
Let's see.
we know the teams I hate.
Grand Valley.
Detroit.
Is Grand Valley one? No.
Oh, not D1. There must be D2.
I think Detroit is.
Yeah, Detroit is.
Oakland.
And I was gonna say Oakland.
Ooh.
Yeah, for all the audio listeners, just go through that song in your head where you memorize the alphabetical order. And
Hop on YouTube. See us in person.
Make them work for it. Yes.
Mississippi, though. Who's in Mississippi?
And Sam, how much? We have what? 3 minutes on the timer here left.
Correct. I think it gives us like
All right.
6 or 7
We
minutes.
need to get moving here. Miami, Ohio, over to the right.
Whoa.
Yeah, easy. Relax. We got time.
We're going in order.
Go back to Mississippi. We can finagle this one. What are the towns in Mississippi? Jackson State.
Oh,
Jackson.
I was gonna say. Oh, Southern Miss.
Southern.
I'm gonna do it too. You guys won't be alone. I'm
Missouri.
sure I'll say
St. Louis. Yep.
Yup.
Okay.
Nebraska. Creighton, baby.
Okay. Lindenwood, obviously.
Who would have gotten that? Let's go.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Ooh, this could be trouble.
New Hampshire's
All right,
so
New
easy
Jersey's
to
Rutgers.
All right, we can skip that. We'll come back.
I'll work on New Hampshire because I'm close to it.
North Carolina.
Duke.
Duke.
Oklahoma.
Tulsa.
Nice.
Oregon. That's
Portland.
nice.
Yale.
Slippery
Or
Rock.
no, Penn. Sorry.
Penn is short for
Penn is
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
Pittsburgh.
Give me Slippery Rock.
Slippery Rock?
Penn.
No, not. I meant for.
Oh.
No, I was talking Pennsylvania. Sorry.
Providence.
Providence, Rhode
Yeah.
Island. Clemson, South Carolina. Memphis, Tennessee. Whew.
UTEP.
What do you think the
No,
team
that's
is?
University of Texas, El Paso.
Corpus Christi.
There we go.
SMU.
Southern Methodist.
Baylor and Rice.
Sam's just like Utah State.
BYU.
BYU. Virginia.
JMU.
Richmond. Yep. We got a minute
Seattle.
50. Come on.
Yeah, go Seattle Pilots.
Oh, Gonzaga
Pilots,
would have been
good
another
one.
one.
West
You know
Virginia.
Gonzaga's way out east.
Marshall in
in
West Virginia.
Washington. Gonzaga's nowhere near the Pacific Ocean.
No, it's Spokane.
It's like Montana, basically.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Chris, for West Virginia?
Marshall.
Nice.
Yes.
And then Wisconsin. Ooh.
1. Green Bay.
No. Yeah.
No, that's Wisconsin, Green Bay.
UW Green Bay.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's
I don't know
see.
if it goes by just Milwaukee.
I think it's UW Milwaukee. All right, we got a minute left.
Wisconsin and New
Keep
Hampshire.
working on New Hampshire.
I'm trying.
Wait, is
Try
New
like-
Hampshire Dartmouth or is that Vermont?
Ooh.
Yes. Good call, Chris. Thank you.
Is it? Is it?
100%.
Let's go.
Boom!
Where my dad went, and I totally spaced.
Wisconsin.
Come
1.
on. 50 seconds. Wisconsin.
All right, what are the big cities? We got Madison, we got Milwaukee, Green Bay, which we talked about.
Yeah, it's like going into Wisconsin.
What are the other schools, though, that exist up there?
Oh my gosh. And this is
Who the fuck
Division
in
1.
Wisconsin that breaks us down.
Coming down to 1.
All right, think the tournament teams. Oh, Marquette.
Marquette, let's go!
25 seconds.
Come on, spell it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Nice.
Good job, boys.
Woo!
Ooh, perfect timer, too. I really
That was
right up against
couldn't have done much better, honestly.
Man, average score 58, you idiots.
Just got that in one breath.
With
Yeah,
stats, let's see. Let's see what they say. How many people got 100?
They say I bet you fill out our crossword puzzles in pen. You're darn right.
Chris, big save on the Dartmouth. I did not go that far. I was like
Clutchness.
Salem State, Portsmouth, Manchester. I was like, none of these teams are.
Georgia was the hardest one to get, apparently.
That was a big pull, Kenneth, so I don't think I would have gotten that.
Well, that
I
was
did get Drake, though.
that was fun, and yes, again, that encourages people to turn into the YouTube channel.
That was thrilling. Alrighty.
All right.
Well, that was fun. We might do some of these in the off season. Keep a little engagement. Some of those little trivia games. So keep an eye. That sounds good.
Give us recommendations, too. We'll do
100%.
anything.
Cool.
So what else is there to talk about?
I think we have 2 big games coming up to talk about. We can wrap up with that. Let's save the Penn State one for last. Why don't we?
That's fair.
Let's touch base on the Ohio State and Texas game. Do you know the spread off the top of your head?
5.5
It's
for
now
Ohio
up to
State.
6.5.
I'm seeing 5.5, buddy.
Oh, all right, cool. It's tanking. Time to bail.
All right, let's see. What are we feeling? What are we thinking? I think we've kind of already previewed it a little bit, this game,
Yeah.
a lot more than the Penn State Notre Dame game. But I think if Texas can keep this within a touchdown at halftime, I might put a little live action on Texas.
See, I'm with how Ohio State had to pull their feet off the gas. I'm concerned as an invested bettor. I think they're going to come out flat. I think there's a chance they come out flat. Now, if that happens, obviously, who knows?
And it's basically a home game.
It's a home game. It's in Dallas. So, I don't know. I mean, I think they can definitely keep it within a touchdown for this spread. It should be a good one. They're definitely going to give a better effort than they did against Arizona State, in my opinion. So they have the talent. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Sorry, I saw you were going to say something, Mike.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. I just kind of something hit me. I think that Ohio State's defense was playing certainly at a very high level against Oregon. Texas' defense was also very well liked, and people were kind of favoring them a lot coming into to their run to the postseason. They obviously didn't really step up that much to let up that many points against Arizona State, but I think Arizona State is very well coached. I'm almost kind of leaning towards the under, I want to say, because I think one of these teams, I'd very much prefer for it to be Ohio State. Sorry, Chris, but I think one of these teams gets shut down pretty strong by the other team's defense. Whether that be Texas or Ohio State, I don't know, but I think one of the QBs makes a few mistakes. Probably against the point I just made, it's probably more likely to be Quinn Ewers. I think he hasn't been quite as sharp as he was in the middle of the season. But I just see this game kind of going a little bit steering away. I think one team only has like 3 or 7 or 10 points a half and just kind of like limps to the finish line. Again, I'd very much prefer that to be Ohio State, but I see this being like a 31-17 kind of game.
And the total is 56 and a half.
Right? I thought I saw 53, yeah.
Oh.
53.5, I'm looking at it.
Well, I'm just all over the place.
I agree with you, Maku. I'm putting this. We're going back up to the charts here. Basically, you want to be on the bottom right. This is offensive efficiency, and then the lower you are is the defense. I wish we could flip the axis, but
I was gonna say, what's New Mexico doing up there, buddy?
Stalwart.
I've been on the Texas defense bandwagon all year. I honestly wasn't too impressed against an Arizona State team whose offense is strong. Like they're over here with Auburn and Louisville, so like and us, to be honest. So Penn State's offense in terms of this stat since week 12, we're pretty on par with Arizona State. So it's kind of fair to think that way, but I don't know.
Can you explain this chart to me again,
Yeah,
Sammy? Is it the closer you are to the middle, the better? Or the bottom right is good?
Bottom right is the best offense and the best defense. The
classic UTSA chilling there.
the lower you are, the better your defense is. The higher you are, the worse. I was
thrown off real bad by Georgia sharing a spot with Baylor and Georgia Tech, and ECU being slightly different than them.
Look at Utah State.
And this is just since week 12, so it's a little bit more recent.
This graph is made up. They just threw every team everywhere. They're like,
I'm trying.
No, what do you mean? Let me see.
They picked Ohio State bottom right. They're like, that's the good part.
But Notre Dame's down there. We're down there.
No, I think it's right because look, it's defensive points per attempt, right? So that means lower is better. Mississippi Southern Miss, which, they're just letting a half a point in per attempt. My God.
So if we're looking at bottom right is better, you're telling me that USF and Utah State are better teams than Penn State?
Well, I mean, it's not adjusted, but
not defensive.
You got to adjust your graph, man. This thing sucks.
Sam's like, I'm doing the best I can.
This is since week 12. I mean, they're playing similar opponents, but this shows kind of how weak Texas's offense has been.
I agree.
Since week 12.
Well, Ewers has been down since then.
Right.
Arch Manning, though.
I don't know. I mean, so are you thinking they're going to coast here, Sam?
I think Ohio State wins. I think...
Oh, it stresses me.
You're not asking for the podcast. You're just asking for it.
I'm personally invested here.
Everybody needs to download the video version of this podcast now because look at this graph.
And look,
it is all over the place.
I know. I wish I could change the axis, but
all I'm seeing is
I'm not blaming you, Sam. I'm just saying that this graph is giving me a migraine. A&M sharing a spot with Navy and Maryland.
Hey,
granted, A&M didn't have their best year.
I agree with
Florida
you, though,
State,
Sam.
right behind.
I see what you mean, 12, though, then. Week 9. Let's see what it moves to. There we go. Week 9, Ohio domination.
Hey, Southern Miss. I mean, no, I see what this is showing though, because like there are general themes here.
I mean, it shows how bad Kent
mean,
State is.
But frankly,
It's true. Kent State has not moved from that upper left corner.
It shows how good Ohio State is at the end of the day. That's what Sam's showing here.
And Notre Dame.
Yeah, so not good for both of us.
This is a scatter plot of how close are you to Ohio, and every team in the middle is just far away.
Shut up.
Kent State's in Ohio.
Kent State's in Ohio.
Crap. No, I know, but I'm saying that like those are like the.
Sam's
it's
like okay,
curve.
Maybe this one didn't go.
I'm turning it off.
It's a bell curve of Ohio. It's these two teams are in Ohio. Every other team is.
Okay,
who do we win? Who wins the game? Ohio State. Ohio State.
Ohio State wins probably by 10 to 14.
Whoa.
That's my official
Ohio State
prediction.
wins by 4.
So you're taking the plus points
and the under. Yep.
I would say by 10. Yeah. I'd be shocked if Texas wins. The only thing that could help is maybe a little call out. Whoever wins the first quarter wins the game. I think if Texas comes out hot and gets the crowd going, that could change things.
They need to hop out quick. If Ohio State wins the first half, it's over. With the crowd, like I said, I believe in momentum. I believe in taking your foot off the gas. If Ohio State comes out flat, Texas has got to take advantage.
Alrighty. Well, that was the mess of a scatter plot for the first game. Next one is, the only other one is Penn State, Notre Dame. Spread, I think, was 2.5. I think the last time I saw. Is that right?
You got 1.5.
It's been going up and down. I've seen 2.5.
I'm just on ESPN, so they're obviously using their own odds. Right. But I got Notre Dame minus 1.5.
I've seen 2.5 as well, though. It's a small lean for Notre Dame.
Quick pick: who wins the game and why?
Notre Dame. Because I'm sad.
Notre Dame does because they're a talented football team.
The weirdest thing to me is that I'd never had this thought until this matchup was put pen to paper, but I want to say we're like almost identical teams.
We are.
Like in terms of like the defense being the clear strength, the offense having like really just like one or two playmakers, the quarterback being the heart of the team, obviously, in the fact that he's pretty much the most skilled player, but, is kind of limited by the options he has. Like, again, I think Notre Dame's entire team is Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love, who can break off a 90-yard run with the best of them. And I think kind of Drew Aller makes the team run with Tyler Warren, a little bit different. But I haven't done a ton of research. I can't name many highlight reel Notre Dame wide receivers, just like most people don't know many, solid outside pass catchers for Penn State. So I just think that the teams match up very, very well. I think Jeremiah Love's a tiny bit banged up. I think he's obviously going to play the game, but that could be the only kind of, one thing to hinge on. Maybe he's a little bit slower than normal. And I think they did lose one of their D linemen. So, but then again, we're also fighting to see if Abdul Carter is going to be 100%.
That'll be big.
So,
you saw it.
Again, there's so many similarities. Riley Leonard's a better runner than Aller is for sure, but Aller can still move the ball and get the first down. So I just see it as being such a mirrored matchup that I can't say it's whoever has the ball last. Maybe, I don't know.
I think I'm picking Notre Dame just because they're an elite program, like I said earlier. They've got the offensive line that can really push us around. You saw it in the second quarter when Abdul Carter was out. We stopped getting pressure. We stopped getting, or at least as consistently. There was a notable drop-off in getting pressure on Madsen. If we give Riley Leonard time combined with their run game, it could be, I do not think we get blown out, but it could spell trouble.
He's too much of a shifty guy to be comfortable with.
Right. And
he's like a better Will Howard on Ohio State because he can run the ball and he's been known to. But I think Riley Leonard's a little bit faster and a little bit more, quick decision to get out of the pocket.
I mean, we brought our A game mostly, I would say, against Oregon. That was a really good showing in the Big Ten championship. But just our track record, and I'd love to be proven wrong, but SMU and Boise State, everyone predicted us to win. We got a very easy path to the semifinals. I just am waiting for us to win a big game, and this is an elite team that matches up very well with us. Probably better in some regards, but it'll be interesting. I think if we get a pick six like the Ohio State game, a pick six, a freak play that goes in our favor, a little 7-point edge like that, I think it's a ball game. I think we can win. But we need a big play. We need a big play like that. I think if we try to grind it out 4 quarters of just hard-nosed football, I think Notre Dame has the slight edge.
I will add just one quick note before Sammy started to cut you off, but the only thing that was is lingering in my mind is if we make 0 mistakes and turnovers, like no fumbles, no picks, no botched snaps or kickoffs or anything like that, I think we win the game probably by 7-10. I think that we're going to have at least 1 or 2 pretty crucial mistakes because I think Notre Dame's that good of a defense. I think they're very well coached. I think they're very well prepared. And again, like I said, they match up very well. So I don't think the game will actually come down to who's coming down the field with 30 seconds left. I hope it doesn't for my own heart's safety.
Oh my God.
But I think it's going to be a very, very, very close battle and I think it's evident in the spread. 1 point in the playoff game. Let's get it going.
Yeah. I agree with everything y'all have been saying. I think my brain says Notre Dame. I think it's the case for all of us. Our heart says Penn State. I think the only thing that sort of gives me hope is that Oregon game. When is the last time that we've played this is super meaningful, but like a meaningful game against someone other than Ohio State or Michigan? Because it's very possible that we are legit a top 4 team. We're here, but those 2 teams just somehow have our numbers. We play them every year. They've figured out our habits, things like that. But Notre Dame's a completely different conference, completely different team. I think that we're going to be able to throw them a bunch of things that they've never seen before, vice versa. I don't know. I could see us. I think we can win. I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I think it's possible.
Oh, we can definitely win. I think it'll, just like we've seen with some of these games, it's going to come down to 1 or 2 or 3 certain plays. If either team gets a pick six in a game like this, it's massive, more, bigger than normal. I think that's really, who makes the least amount of mistakes.
And I'll probably end up regretting saying this, but or I'll end up biting my tongue. But I hope that Tom Allen, I think he's the key to this game. I think we can score on anyone, shown by all of the games. I think even when we're not impressive on the offensive side,
except Ohio State, yeah.
Well, yeah, but again, that's against Ohio State, and
right.
I think what Tom Allen needs to do and what he's done most frequently other than these playoff games is you don't need to send 6 players. I think we need to force Notre Dame into 12, 14 play drives, force them to plug them out. I don't think they score over 20 if that happens. I think they score over 20 if they get a couple gash plays or turnovers or whatever it is. But I think we need to make them tired and drawn out, just because that would lead to some mistakes, rest our offense a little bit. Maybe that could be a way to go, but who knows?
I was going to just quickly say, kind of to your point before about saying how we don't, or I guess it hasn't been proven yet that we can match up in very big games. I was looking to see when we've had the closest spreads. Penn State was 3.5-point favorites against USC. That game came down to the wire, won in overtime. 3.5 points. Oregon was favored against us in the Big Ten Championship. Also, kind of a lot closer than I expected it to be. We lost by 8, so we didn't cover, but you know what I mean. And then same thing, Ohio State was also favored at Penn State, beat us by 7. They were favored by 3.5. So we've never played in a game that is at a 1.5 or 2-point spread, which again, I think just speaks to how close these teams really are. I don't really want to say, though, that follow the narrative that James Franklin can't win a big game, because you got to give him credit for winning 2 playoff games.
Yep.
If we were to lose at SMU, I'd be throwing him to the fire. But not only did we dominate them, but we came out and had a very clean win. It got a little hairy at times, but a very clean, good, complete game against Boise State, who fully deserve to be a top 5 team.
That's
If
true.
you don't want to say top 5, then they're still guaranteed a top 10 team. So that is a huge win on that stage in that environment. So I think we just have to, give credit where it's due, even to our own team sometimes. Like,
And
we don't want to get too boastful or too, cocky. And again, we're clearly not saying we're dominating, Notre Dame here, but I think it's just, give the team some props for getting to this point.
yeah,
And we've never been in a closer game.
yeah, that's fair.
Well,
Should
these
be a good
games
one.
we'll find out in a couple days. Great episode, boys. And next time we'll talk, we will recap, hopefully pleasantly, the semifinals. But if not, we have a national championship to look for, and should be fun. These games are going farther and farther into January. I feel like we're right around the time where national championships usually are. So we're getting treated to a little longer year. So that's always nice.
I like it. You saw the classic caption going around with the lineup of we get 5 straight days of playoff football. Nothing to argue about there. That's pretty nice.
Absolutely. Well, great pod. We'll talk soon, and thanks everybody for listening. And I guess we can't even say live for the Saturdays anymore because there's no Saturday college footballs. But
It's the mindset.
live for every day.
Make every day your Saturday.
There we go. T-shirts. T-shirts right there.
And Happy New Year.